And so that made me realize, like, wow, it just seems like there's a level of kindness, a level of consideration for other people. And that's something that I for sure want to bring back and go wherever I go, is to be considerate of another person.
Hello, friends. We're going to talk to Crystal Turner about her move abroad plans, about her money plans, about a lot of different things. Thank you very much for joining us. We are Stephanie Perry and Roshida Dowe, the founders of Exodus Summit. And please welcome our very special guest. Hi, special guest.
Hi, special ladies. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here with us. We're very excited to talk to you today because we've got a lot to catch up on. So
yeah,
let's go.
Okay, first, Crystal, introduce yourself to our friends.
So my name's Crystal Turner. I currently live in the United States in Chicago. I am a psychiatric nurse practitioner, and I work in private practice, as well as I've created a coaching practice where I support Black leaders, Black healers, to heal from their own harmful experiences so that they can support their work and not burn out in the process of doing it.
And how long have you been a mental health nurse practitioner?
8 years now. I've been a registered nurse for since 1999. So I don't know, I got to do the math on that. So over 20 years as a registered nurse. A large portion of that was in psychiatry, but I became a nurse practitioner and advanced practice nurse in psychiatry. It's been about 8 years.
Okay.
Good.
All right. Awesome.
Good. Okay. And you're in Chicago. Oh, you're in Chicago. How are things in Chicago?
Oh, well, today I just came with my son from a Juneteenth little picnic they have in my community, so that was nice. But Chicago is feeling the heat of a lot of different things in the United States. I see that around people in my family, in my friend groups, with my children and their aspirations. So I see a lot of what's going on in our economy, especially impacting their future endeavors and just trying to work and get to support themselves. I see a lot of those hang-ups coming up right now.
Yeah.
Okay. How did you're a member of Exodus Summit, which is the community that Stephanie and I have curated over the past years, I don't know, since 2020. How did you first come to Exodus Summit?
Interestingly enough, I was in a business group at this time, and I had this vision for myself that the vision I had for myself is that I wanted to have a home somewhere else that was like a respite for myself, for like my family, my friends, that it was communal. It was like just a good space. And I always imagined that out of the country. So when I was in this business group, I remember I would speak about that. And this particular night, 2 different people in 2 different locations mentioned Exodus Summit. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to look up Exodus Summit because this sounds like it was really being mentioned to me, like you need to be in that space. So that's how I came to be familiar with Exodus Summit.
Okay.
That's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you to everyone out here. Thank you for recruiting friends.
Thank you. We usually have women tell us, oh, I told my friend about it or something like that, or I told someone in a group, but we don't always hear the other side of like, I heard about it in a group and then I showed up. So it's nice to have it. Yeah.
Good. So do you now have so this was like you called it a vision, and I love that. Okay. So you have a vision for a thing that you want in your life. Is that still the pathway that you're on?
It is. It definitely is, especially now. Sometimes I'm like, I don't know where this will be quite yet, but it is very much so a vision. I speak about it more amongst my family now. And I just watch how receptive they are, how initially when I would bring this up, the things about, oh, you have to be careful and all these things would come up. And now like that would be my mom's talk that was the person at the top who would like, be careful. But now she's like, oh, I was looking at this video and there are these 7 places for Black people that they should go. So I've just stuck with my vision, and other people have started to respect my vision. So yeah.
Good.
Do you think that talking about it more, I know people are respecting your vision, but do you think they're also opening up to it a little bit more for themselves as you talk to your family about it?
I really do think so. I really do think so. Even my mom told me my plan is to go to Africa and for my birthday at the end of the year. I don't know if she'll go there, but she stated that she wants to go. Like, so she wants to go to some of these places that I'm going now, you know? So she'll say things like, oh, you know, I don't know if I will go, but it is definitely she is much more approachable with this now than she was initially. So I do see that. And I also have a brother and his wife who, a lot of people who, you know, really care about me and who don't try to control what I'm doing, I see them looking at what I'm doing in more admiration and definitely not speaking over it. And just like really, it seems like they're taking it in and really listening, you know?
Good. Good. So you said that you see this home as like a communal space, a respite space. Why is that the way that you see your future playing out? I think I see this happening not only in my own life, but with other Black women too. So as a mental health professional, can you tell us why this is important, why this matters, why it, being from the United States, a place where we're told you need to have your own this and your own that, or you're a failure, why communal? Why is communal the future for you?
I love that question. And I think it's because I think being in this society in the United States or in Western culture, you are taught so much about being an individual in this individualistic mindset. And I know that in mental health, there are you see suicidal rates, for example, higher in places where that is the mindset, whereas on my own, do it myself, you know what I mean? Because it equals not having support. Whereas you look at other cultures where they are more about community more naturally, you know, people show up when you're sick, people are there to help you, people are there to support. And the suicide rates, for example, in those cultures tend to be less. But what I also know is as we continue, as the generations go on and we continue to be in this Western culture, we can lose some of that. You know what I mean? And I think when I think of being someplace communal, it really just feels like good energy, good support. You know, I even think about this room that's like ancestral in the sense that I have a brother who's transitioned, I have a father who's transitioned, my grandparents. I think of having like large pictures of them on my walls. You know what I mean? Like, and that's a space where when we go in there and we talk, you know, it's in love and it's in that space of community.
Do you think that this is going to be a soon future? Is this going to be a distant future? Where are we in this plan, Crystal?
So my plan, where we are is in a 5-year plan, I would say. Not a 5-year plan before I leave. This year, what I'm focusing on is leaving my because I work part-time somewhere, on leaving there and being full-time in my practice so that I can go places next year and be there for like a month at a time or 3 months at a time. I know I'll start in one location for a full month. You know, I'll give myself a little time and do some place for 3 months. That's my goal for next year. I have a son who's just finished his freshman year of college, so I don't want to be completely gone until he's done with school. So by then, though, I feel like I will have been able to have been numerous places and know what energy feels right for me, and then that's going to be the location.
Okay. So one of the things we hear often is, I would go, but I can't take my job with me. And a lot of times we hear that from nurses, but you have a practice that you can take with you and do it from abroad?
Yeah, so in my private practice, I'm licensed in Illinois right now. I could get licensed in a few other places in the States, but because of you know, the more accessibility that has come from doing telehealth or telepsychiatry, then those people who are still in Illinois or in the States, wherever I'm licensed, I could still see them wherever I choose to go. But when I talk about my coaching practice, that can be anywhere. You know, as I continue to grow that, then that can be anywhere.
So your private practice, you can be anywhere, but your clients have to be in Illinois. And your coaching practice, you can be anywhere and your client can be anywhere. Is that right?
Thank you. Yes, you helped to clear that up. Yes, that's right.
So at the end of the day, you as a nurse can be a nurse practitioner, can be anywhere. And that's we so often hear from people in the medical field who say, I wish I could go, but I can't. I know that your practice may show up different than a lot of other people's, but I'm sure there are other people in your shoes too who also think that who have a similar practice, who think that they can't go, but you're doing it. You're making it happen for yourself.
Yeah, for sure. And that's been, I've seen people who are doing it. I've gotten, I'm understanding legally what my rights are and what I'm able to do. So yes, that I'm really grateful for that. But what I also think about even in a coaching realm is whatever you're doing, especially in healthcare, you already have this sense of wanting to support people in some way. So I even know that the coaching that I'll do is going to be something that I would love even more and do it with even more gusto, because there's so much more I can implement outside of this Western framework that I could help and support people with.
Okay. I remember you talking about that in some detail when you were with us earlier this year in our membership, Exodus A.S.A.P.
Yeah, what's the difference? So what is the difference? And is this something that you came to know through travel, or so first, what is the difference between specifically Western medicine, or even even more specific American medicine, and the way things are approached around the world? And then how did you get introduced to this? Because a lot of people who are trained in the US are trained kind of seems like with blinders on, to only see things in one way.
Yeah, I feel like, so the difference is very much that when you are practicing in American medicine, like how I've been trained to practice, it's specifically you're diagnosing, then you're prescribing based on what you've been given to be able to do that. So that this has its place, right? Especially when people have issues that happen acutely, like it's urgent, or you know what I mean? They already have the disease and it's there. So then I can see where that can be helpful. But when I talk about in coaching, we are talking about really bringing thought from different cultures and how they might practice, how it may be more holistic. It's not necessarily evidence-based research. It's not things that you're giving someone that has to be approved by the Food and Drug Administration. It's none of those types of things. It's more understanding practices and cultures that have actually sustained cultures for years and years and years and years. You know what I mean? Beyond what we know here. So I think that oftentimes when you are in Western medicine, a lot of things are disregarded. But I also recognize how we are disregarded historically. So everything that comes along with what may have been helpful is not there often. And oftentimes you do actually see them trying to move it in to this Western framework now, but it's distorted. You know what I mean? And it's not necessarily coming from a place of respecting where it comes from. So there's just a more holistic approach when it comes to coaching, more things that you can tap into where it's not under my license, but I bring my education and my knowledge to that space.
Okay. And is this because you've traveled? Like, how did you get introduced to a more holistic approach to healing?
Well, the way that first started is my own traumas that I experienced and how that constantly showed up in my life. At the time I was married, and my ex-husband now at that time was dealing with some health issues, and it caused me to want to support him by doing more like a plant-based diet. And so in doing that, I started eating that way. And when I started eating this way, oftentimes when I would want to eat this way, I would look up a lot of different ideas on YouTube, for example. And I would start coming across other thought beyond the diet, but I would see how in many of our cultures, diet was important, or food was seen as medicine. Not to say that everyone was eating plant-based, because in some of our cultures, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about how they applied food as medicine. And so when I started doing that and applying that to my life, eating more clean at that time, I started to recognize a difference in how I felt physically, but especially mentally and emotionally. And when that started happening, I wanted to know more culturally about practices in our historically in our other places outside of here. Like, what were they doing to sustain themselves? And that's when I started coming into more understanding about different cultural practices, different spiritual practices that oftentimes we are just, for some reason, not even knowing why, but subconsciously we're told that there's something wrong with these things. And what I found personally is that they're actually more, there's so much power behind that. And so that is how I got into that. Now, though, when I travel, even when I've traveled with you all, for example, to Vietnam, I've gone places and seen this in so many places where people of color are, where they have these approaches, and just comparing statistically how oftentimes their health is better. Their mental health is much less. Their mental health issues are much less. And so it's something that really I'm on a quest to learn about more and compare that much more. So that's how I got into the space.
Okay. I know that when we experienced Vietnam together, it was a time where a lot of us leaned in a little deeper to self-care because their society and their culture promotes a lot of things and makes things a lot of self-care things more accessible than they are in the US. Were there specific things that you experienced in Vietnam that you were like, I want to bring a piece of that home with me?
Ooh, yeah. For example, when I first got there, I didn't know how I felt about Vietnam yet because there were a lot of people. It was busy. I kept hearing car horns honking, and I associated that with road rage, with rushing here, like the reasons why you would see that here. But each day that I was there, what I came to realize is that actually they weren't honking their horns because they were irritated. They were honking their horns as a courtesy to the person who was on the bike, for example. And so that made me realize, like, wow, it just seems like there's a level of kindness, a level of consideration for other people. And that's something that I for sure want to bring back and go wherever I go, is to be considerate of another person. When any service that I received there, which cost, compared to what things cost here in Chicago, I mean, the pricing of every service I had was just like, why wouldn't I do this? Are you kidding? Like, this cost me nothing, really, is how it felt. But even though it was so small in terms of the cost, the level of intention they gave behind the service, every service I received, it just really felt like there was intention behind it. So intentionality is another thing that I want to take with me here. I want to bring back here with me here. And then wherever I go, I want to be more intentional in terms of what I'm doing when I'm engaging with people, and for myself, being intentional in those moments too.
Mm-hmm. I remember
Sorry, go ahead.
I remember feeling there was a level of trust, so kindness and trust that we're not used to in the States. We went to a restaurant and they didn't accept cards while we were there. And the lady was like, just come back and bring cash later. And like, doesn't have to be today, just like whenever you get a chance, just come back and bring us cash. And we were like, what? Just that I know, like, I'm not going to create a problem here. I'm going to trust that you're going to do the right thing. Is such a foreign concept when you walk through the world in the US, right? It's not something we're used to, where someone's just like, oh, we don't accept cards. And you know that, so just come back later with cash, right?
I can speak to that too. I'm sorry, I didn't know you were still talking. When you're done, I can speak.
Go ahead, Crystal.
No, because when I was there, I very similar to this, right? I had gone to this market, and when I went to the market, I purchased something that was $50. It would have it would have been the equivalent of $50. But when I got back to my hotel, they had charged me $500. So in my mind, I'm like, oh, they didn't got me. I don't like Vietnam because they have come and they have played me. I was like, but I looked at the receipt. The numbers don't even look familiar in how I would dial here, but I'm like, I'm going to dial this number and see what happens. So I dialed the number. This woman answers, speaking in her language. And then when she saw that I spoke English, then she spoke English and I told her what happened. And she was like, oh, can you send me a copy of the receipt? And so I sent her that. And then, then she was like, I can send it back to you, Zelle it to you. And I was like, well, I will be back in the States before that would happen. So I don't know if that would really happen. Still dealing with this trust thing. I'm like, I don't know if you're really going to do this. So I was like, are you able to bring me cash? She was happy to bring me cash. And I was stepping out. So there was another Exodus Summit member who was there, who was kind enough to stay around. And she brought the cash back. She sent me a picture through WhatsApp to let me know she sent it. It was just all this effort around, showing me that she was doing this thing where she could have easily just said, I'm not going to do any of this. So that was when I was like, oh my gosh, I think I really love it here. You know what I mean? Just, I loved that energy.
Yeah.
There's a lot of healing. Sorry. There's a lot of healing that we have to do, having been people who were raised in a certain particular type of environment, right? Around a certain particular type of people. There's a lot of healing that we have to do to be able to go and then live in community with other people who just want to treat us like they treat everybody else, right? There's some healing work that we have to do, or we're going to always be like, oh, they got me. This is, instead of saying, this is a mistake. Let's get this mistake fixed. We can't use the same barriers and guards that we have to use in the United States. We can't take those with us around the world, not if we want to enjoy it. And not if we want to literally commune with the local people, not if we want to be in relationship with the local people.
Right. I agree. And it really is true that we take ourselves with us. Yeah. Literally in that moment, I could have just assumed, right? I'm going to assume that these people here are going to try to rob me. I mean, this happens. People do get robbed. We're not going to. Because I remember, Roshida, you mentioned in the story about, so I know that these things happen, but I'm talking about just me thinking about it here, that these people are going to rob me. And just by assuming that, I could have just taken that and not even attempted to reach out, to not even consider something else happening. And I would have carried this back home with me. And it would have carried and echoed into the idea of me going anywhere. I just would have had this fear and just had this belief system that I've created based off of my experiences here, So I do think that there is a lot of healing we have to do, so we take a more vibrant and pristine version of ourselves where we go.
Oh, vibrant and pristine. That's good.
That is nice. So you were with us in February when we did the Get Your Next 3 Clients Challenge, right? And you were working on your coaching business.
Yes.
What were some things? What's one thing that you took from the challenge that you want to implement in your coaching business?
I want to be able to be clear about what I'm offering and present it to another person. And I think that's something, the way that you all broke down step by step each day, and it wasn't overwhelming. And so it was digestible each day to be able to understand, being clear about what I'm doing, what I represent, who I serve, and then being able to, when I went through that, when it was time for me to create that pitch to give to someone else, it was very clear. It was in terms of me writing that and presenting it to someone, I felt it was clearer than any approach I've done in the past in terms of using that.
Good. Yeah. So inside of the Exodus A.S.A.P membership, we hosted the Get Your Next 3 Clients Challenge in February. And friends, we host that again in July of 2025. And yeah, what we do is we take the women who are in the challenge, we take them, most of them start out with either a business that already exists or a solid idea for some group of people they want to serve, even if they don't know what the actual offer is, even if they don't know what the exchange for money is going to be for. But we take them from there through the process of talking about their product or service and getting that in front of the right groups of people and getting clients from that. So that's how that's the thing that we do inside of the Exodus A.S.A.P membership. So when you did that in February, when you joined us, did you already know that coaching was going to be your next thing? And did you already know specifically who you were going to coach? I think we talked about narrowing down your
Yes,
group of
so that
people.
did help with me narrowing down who I was speaking to and how I was speaking it. So I knew that I wanted to do consulting or coaching, but that helped me to understand, okay, this is coaching. And then also being able to speak it more fluently and with more ease to that particular audience.
Good.
Okay. And how long were you in the membership, Exodus ASAP?
I started when you all started. So I think that was after Thanksgiving.
Yeah, Thanksgiving.
I think I'm pretty sure that's when I started. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
Okay. So like 3 months because you were still in February. So December, January, February. Okay, good.
What have you done? Okay, so we're always talking about how like the membership is for action takers. So what actions have you taken, or what have you, if you haven't been taking the action, what have you been procrastinating on since you joined?
If there's anything I procrastinated on, it's been pitching to people. That's been the real procrastination. But I have pitched it a time or two. I definitely pitched it when we were in the group, and then I've pitched it to 2 other people since then. So it's just being more. And then I've been a little bit busy with just other things. So the pitching is the biggest thing. So I know that I've already been coached by you all, like to have a nice number of people that you're going to pitch this to, or organizations that I'm pitching that to. So that's my next goal.
Okay, making a list.
Okay. So we've talked about how you worked on the money part, right? Where does the money come from? And that's what you did in the Get Your Next 3 Clients Challenge, because that's a question everyone has. But while you were in the membership, did you work on other parts of your Move Abroad plan?
I have worked on the temporary residency. So I have an appointment with Mexican Consulate this next week to do this process. And my goal is in August to go to San Miguel to do that. And now there's someone else you all had on here, LaRonda Hughes. I'm also have a goal of going to Ecuador to do the process there. And the reason I want to utilize Ecuador is because why not? I want to go there and experience this place, but I want to have a place where I can support my son who's in college to be somewhere. And with Ecuador, that's one of the places where I could also bring him in, even though he's not making an income right now and he's a student. I'm able to do that with him there, and it's not expensive at all.
Oh. So you could get residency in Ecuador, and then because he's your son, he would be eligible under you?
Yes. So the only thing that's going to make that a longer, so I need to plan out when he's off from his school break so that we can go in that period of time. So that's probably going to look like January.
That's amazing.
LaRonna's a good person for you to connect with. If you're in the process of working on this communal living space for you and your people, she's a wonderful person for you to connect with in Ecuador. Good. Friends, we talked to LaRonna on this channel a while ago, sometime. We'll link to it in the description. I don't know. It was a while ago.
My plan is to go to Kenya with her in November. I turned 50 in December. So my plan is to do this. She's doing a thing in Kenya, a soul safari, I think it is called. And so my goal is to go there with her.
Stephanie, did she know about this? I'm not getting invited to a soul safari. Did you?
We like Kenya. We like soul safaris.
Let's
You put
go.
Lorana on the list.
I know.
So listen, anybody watching this video, we don't know anything about it because she can tell us. Okay, maybe we'll get a chance to talk to her again beforehand. But her video is linked in the description. We did talk to Lorana. Her information will be linked in the description. Don't holler at us asking us how do you go on the Soul Safari, because we haven't heard yet.
Maybe
That's
maybe
awesome.
it's in our email and we just haven't seen it yet. I'm gonna say that.
Maybe.
No.
Okay. We love you, Lorana. Okay. That's amazing. Okay. So February with Lorana, Soul Safari, Kenya. Okay. And then you're talking about your birthday is in December. So you're planning to stay?
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm planning.
And
Well, no,
stay.
in November I'll go there. So that'll be like I think that's a 7-day trip. So that'll be able to be in a space where she does the work that she does and experience it, but just in that place instead of Ecuador at that point. But then my goal is going to be to utilize her home. I know she has a space where you can be there. She has space for you to stay there and rent out a space. So I would do that when I'm doing this process with the temporary residency for me and my son. And hopefully my daughter will be on board with that. So that would be my plan to do during that Christmas break with them.
Okay. Not a lot of
where?
in Ecuador.
That'll be in Ecuador.
Ecuador.
That's your birthday. Okay. Good.
Not a lot of countries allow you to allow your adult children to get residency through you. So it's great to hear that that's a possibility in Ecuador. For those of you with adult children who you want to get out of the US and who aren't making a path for themselves, listen to Crystal.
Yeah. And that was one of those things, like, again, it's like having your mind open to what it is you want and having it open when you all have Lorana on and just talking with her. I'm like, oh, I can do this through there, and it's not expensive. You know what I mean? I shouldn't say that because I know finances are different for everyone, but compared to some places, it's not as expensive. And also the requirement in terms of the income to be there is not. So, I'm really grateful for you all's space, because I don't think I would have come across not only Ecuador knowing that, but also being connected with someone who's there, who knows the process, who can be supportive. Many people who you all have brought through to the forefront, I've trusted, and I've not had any negative experiences. So I'm grateful for that, and I'm looking forward to that process.
Good. And now someone in the future is going to be like, I was watching a video and Crystal Turner said, and I trust her. And I love that for all of us.
Okay.
I love that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's right. It keeps going. Yeah. All right. So what do you think life would be? So I know that I don't think you're saying that you're definitely moving to Ecuador, but you are planning to get residency and for you and the kids in Ecuador. What do you think life could be if Ecuador is a place that you're going to spend some time in, or even Kenya, right? Mm-hmm. What do you think life would be like, and how do you think life is going to be different?
What comes up first is like freedom, because and just really living life on my terms, as opposed to just everything I do being part of this system that it has to be done in these rigid ways and having to work under someone and do things their way. It's just, when I think about being someplace and not having to deal with any of that, that feels so liberating to me. You know what I mean? And being able to come and go as I choose and create the thing that I want as I want it, as opposed to someone else's structure, So to me, that is what life will look like first, is sovereignty and freedom, and being able to breathe in that, which I've never experienced. I've never experienced that. Maybe as a kid you've had some version of that, but you get so disconnected from remembering what that was. You know what I mean? Before you're really thrown into a system of all of the systems. You know what I mean? So I really think of sovereignty and freedom, and being able to support other people when I'm ready to do that, and from a whole different lens of my reasoning why I would do that. You know what I mean? Not letting money be the driving force behind that. And I think being in this system, everything you do is like money has to be the driving force, because you're trying to survive, and that brings a level of pressure and enslavement, really, that you are in, even though you don't necessarily realize you're in it. So I just see a different type of freedom that that I would experience.
All right, so you've told us about step one, right? Leave the part-time employer, spend a month abroad at a time, a month at a time abroad. Can we coach you a little bit and tell you you don't have to put a month limit on a place? Longer is better. If they give you 90 days on that tourist visa and you're making money anyway, a month goes by quick.
I'm gonna go ahead and say Crystal doesn't need that coaching because she was in Vietnam with them ladies who are still over in Asia, and she knows
they are still. Yeah. I admired that. That's true. They were just. It wasn't like, and that's the thing. There were no time constraints to anything. It was like they were there. Oh, some people were like, oh, we're going to Malaysia. Oh, we're going here, and I'm like, oh wow, like that's another part of what it will look like for me. It's just being able to, at a whim, say, this is what I want to do. This is what I'm about to go do. There's no one I'm having to answer to. I'm just going to do that. So no, I hear that. I hear that. I will stretch that out to 3 months. I could stretch that out.
I think Chris is going to get out there and be like, I could fly home,
but
or I could go to Durban. Chicago, Durban, you know.
Yeah. Bye-bye, Chicago. I'll be back.
Especially for the winter, girl.
Yeah, swing by in the summer. Beautiful, lovely. Get you those 2
months. Absolutely. These cold months are nothing to play. I mean, it wasn't that cold this past, but that means we probably have something coming around the corner that's going to be pretty severe.
It's going to catch up.
It happens, happens all the time.
Yeah, because we were together in Vietnam for just 2 weeks, I think, about 2 weeks. That's half a month, right? Like that went by really quickly. That wasn't time to get into a routine and find a yoga place and find, right? No, a month goes by quickly. When you have because your practice will let you be where you want to be, even before your coaching business, right? Even just with the practice. If you can be you want to be. Now, working when you're in another time zone is a thing to navigate. Yeah. But 1 month is fast, is all we want to say.
I'm taking that in. I'm taking that in. And see, that's still that constraint of, okay, time limits. You know what I'm saying? That's still that mental constraint there. But yeah, I think that's where you're right. I don't even know what that would feel like. I think 2 weeks is the longest I've ever done a vacation going anywhere. But to do something for 3 months, I could see how that gives more time to really be in the elements and be, not in vacation mode.
That's right.
The time constraints, the fact that we live our life around these arbitrary and sometimes fake time restraints is so American compared to other countries. I used to work for the American operations of a German company. And we had to be on it all the time. And when you called the Germans around June, it was like, no, baby. I'll be back in August.
I love it.
Don't ask for nothing. Don't want nothing. If you need something, learn to read, right? You better learn you some German if you need anything, because we won't, like, the whole office is just gone on vacation.
Wow, really? That's foreign thought. That would not even fathom.
2 months of operations shutting down and the business still being one of the most profitable ones in the world, right? Like stuff, right? The Germans are still making money. They're
yes,
right? They are still doing really well. Just life, understanding that the flow of life is you have a family. This isn't everything you do. This isn't the center of your world. You can go do other things. And in America, it's like, what do you mean you want 2 weeks off in a row?
Yeah.
in a row, right? In America, we get all the all those posts of like, here's how to stretch your 4-day weekend into a 7-day vacation. If you go on vacation, if you take off this day and then that day because you have this day. And I'm like, other countries,
it is.
You don't see this content coming from other countries, right? You see this content coming from America.
It's acrobats that you got to do just to get the vacation. That's exhausting. That's exhausting.
That's right.
Right? Awesome.
We're very excited for you. We're very excited to hear that you're taking these steps, right? To position yourself to go out and be free, to be liberated, to be sovereign. It's one thing to see it and have people tell you it's possible, but it's another thing for you to go ahead to take some action. We're so glad that you joined us inside of the Exodus A.S.A.P membership. And we're very glad that you joined us in Vietnam, because that's like a sneak attack, right? Our in-person things are like, it's a sneaky way to get you out of the country and living that new life and being like, oh, I could do more of this. A little sneak attack.
I love it.
Yes.
Plus, you get to meet some other women who are into this thing too. Are you still in communication with anybody from Vietnam? From the Vietnam?
Yes. Oh gosh, I've forgotten her name, but we met. She was in she's in South Carolina, but she's going to be in Mexico. But she came back here because she had family here, and we went out to eat. And then I have kept communication with some people online as well. So yeah, I've met everyone I met, every lady I met. Just the energy was just great, because it just felt like, and something about here, I think, stifles the energy that we could share with one another. And I think there, I just saw peace with everyone that I met. I had no issue with women. You know what I mean? There was no issue at all. So that idea that women can't do this, that, and the other, that's debunked completely. So it was beautiful. It was beautiful.
And the thing I love about Exodus Summit, and I'm not biased when I say this, it is factually true, but also it's my baby. Everyone just wants you to win, right? Everyone just wants you to win. Because the minute I see somebody coming up in there being real hatery, right? Like, we really curate a group of people who are positive, who want other Black women to win, and who can speak kindly into other Black women and speak life into their dreams. And so when we get together, there's no hateration in the dancery. Like, we are just friends who haven't met each other yet. And that's one of the things
that's definitely what it felt. I mentioned when I left, the day I left, I actually teared up, and I was saying I have not done that since I was a kid, leaving maybe my cousin's house. You know how you're a kid and you don't want to leave and you actually cry. I literally was like, that just felt so good. It felt just healing just to be around that kind of energy that you're speaking of. Is no hateration, none of that. It's people who really are offering information because they do want to see you be in a better space and a better place because they're experiencing it.
Yeah. Yeah. Nobody wants you to get free like somebody who just got free.
Word. Yes.
That is true. That's true. That's true.
Yes. And we have so many of our women who live in Southeast Asia act as guides for women in the region, right? The women who we were in Hoi An and Da Nang, the women who lived in that specific region were great about helping people. They helped people, I think, get apartments who were there longer. They helped them do all kinds of things. Mm-hmm. The woman in Malaysia and Kuala Lumpur helped other women as they went there, as they went around the world. I don't know that we've ever claimed it before, but we have a global network of Black women who want to help other Black women succeed and live healthy, whole lives overseas. And that's outstanding.
Yes.
Yeah, I really feel like I could, wherever I go, that I could reach out in the group and be like, who's here? And I would not feel, typically growing up, I was very shy. I would not feel any type of like hesitation that the people that I will meet there coming from this community are there on business and sense of, we're going to help you get what it is that you need while you're here, or just help give you a little bit of guidance. So that's something I hold firm to. I have witnessed.
Yeah, I love hearing that.
Yes. Friends, you don't have to be jealous. Okay. I see you. We hear you sitting there you don't have to be jealous. Join us. Okay. So the Exodus Summit community, the Exodus Summit free Facebook community, which as of June 2025 is on Facebook, but we won't be on Facebook much longer. But join us at exodussummit.com/community. It's free. It's Facebook. The link is in the description of this video. If you're watching this later than that, We may be somewhere else, but go to the same link, see where we are now, exodussummit.com/community. And then if you're ready to start working on your Peace Out protocol, right? If you're ready to start getting your Move Abroad plan together, you're ready to start thinking out, where do I want to go? What do I want my life to look like? How am I going to afford this? How am I going to pay for it? What's it even going to cost? How do I even calculate what it's going to cost? How do I make sure my business, if I'm going to run a business, how do I make sure that my business is enough to support me? If you are ready to get started with that, join us inside of the Exodus A.S.A.P membership at exodusasap.com. Of course, that's in the description. That's where we're hosting the Get Your Next 3 Clients Challenge late July, starting the last Sunday in July 2025. For 6 days, we're getting together and we're getting you clients inside of your business. You're not just getting clients, but you're learning how to repeatedly get clients. You're learning how to work you're setting up your own system. And by setting up a system, we don't mean getting an LLC and a logo, like Roshida said. We're not doing that. We're talking about how you actually just figure out, what is your offer? How do you get that offer in front of the right people? That is what we do for 6 days in the Get Your Next 3 Clients Challenge, which is happening inside of Exodus ASAP in the month of July. So join us, please. Links are in the description of this video.
Yes. And we look forward to seeing you in the group. We look forward to seeing you in our membership. Because our membership, we are doing the Get Your Next 2 Clients Challenge, but we also do so much more. We always see women in there who have wins, like Crystal talked about, right? Having an appointment to get a residency. She'll have a residency in Mexico soon. We have women who are on the way who are asking questions, and the women in the group who are just a step ahead of them have the answers to the questions. And it's just a really great place to be in community with other Black women who want to do the same thing. And a lot of these Black women have families. It's not just them going by themselves, but of course it's a group of Black women. So only the Black women show up in the group. And it's a good time.
It's a good time. Plus you get coaching from Roshida and from me. We both individually coached people for quite a while on moving abroad, on leaving the United States, on taking sabbaticals and career breaks. We've also hosted the premier virtual conference for Black women who want to leave the United States, Exodus Summit. We've hosted Exodus Summit for 6 years. I think that's the right number, right?
I think it's 5.
This will be our 6th year.
This will be our 6th year.
Okay. I don't know how that works.
This will be our 6th summit, I believe.
This will be our 6th year, right? We've helped Black women do this for 6 years. And so if you not just want community, not just support, but you actually want coaching from some women who do this for a living, come and join us inside of Exodus ASAP. We want you to make progress. We want you to be able to live the life that you're dreaming about now. We want you to be able to thrive. Black women don't have to just stay in the United States and make the best of a bad situation. Please, friend, live in a good situation. Okay, let's live in some good situation.
Your joy.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Crystal,
Thank you.
Thank you. How did we do? Is there anything you wanted to say today that we didn't give you a chance to say?
No, we touched all bases, I think, of what I wanted to say. The world is our oyster, literally, and we have to get out there and explore. So thank you for creating this community to help me start that process. And I know it's going to ricochet and domino effects with the people in my community too.
Before we let you go, one of the things we hear from Black women all the time when they're abroad is that their mental health practitioner had to let them go as they moved abroad. And you are going to you have a coaching business that does mental health coaching for, why don't you give us more details?
Yeah. So with that coaching, I'll be able to bring my knowledge. I wouldn't be in that space diagnosing or prescribing medicine, but we can still talk about approaches, and that knowledge goes to me no matter what I'm doing. So there's this ability to bring the knowledge that I have in those spaces, but also bring holistic approaches that are very important, herbal support that you could utilize to help support you, just ancestral wisdom. All of those things can be a part of your healing. Wherever it is that you feel comfortable, I'm able to be able to provide that service and cater it toward and customize it toward the needs that you have.
And how do people contact you if they want to do that? There's a link below.
There will be a link below, and they can get on my calendar. Absolutely.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. I know that's really going to help a lot of Black women out, a lot of people out. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you both.
Thank you. I think we've done it today. Thank you, Crystal, for being a guest with us. Thank you for sharing all of your wisdom and for allowing us to be in community with you, right? That we don't take that lightly. You bring your joy with you to every session where we see you. And we're so glad that you have joined our community in multiple ways, online, in our paid membership, in person, because we know there's other things you could be doing with your time and money, but you trust us. And our community in turn, after watching this, like you said about Lorana, they will be trusting you too. So thank you for coming and sharing with us. And I think we're going to wrap it up. That's it for today. Bye. Thank you, Crystal.
Bye. Thank you.